Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. As you can see, I'm in the shed, I'm at the garden. It's quite a blustery day, it's really bright and sunny, it's chilly. I don't know if this is going to scupper the plans for filming today. I'm hoping we'll give it a go. I'm hoping to give a bit of a tour of the garden. And the reason I sound a bit... Normally I do a tour of the garden every month. It's a little visual record of the waxing and the waning of the garden throughout the whole year. It's really useful for me. I do look back on previous years. If I think, oh, I'm getting really behind, I look back at a previous year and think, oh no, this is about the same as that previous year and I had a good harvest. So yes, I would normally show you the garden, the entire garden, once a month. Just, you know, see how the plants are growing, how the food is coming along, talk about jobs that need doing, etc. I forgot to do it in September, and I think that's rather symptomatic of this whole year. This feeling with the garden anyway, that I've been chasing my tail. There was one day, the 21st of June, I made a video on that day. I think the video was called 2 weeks later. I hadn't done any filming for a couple of weeks. I was concentrating on getting the garden done. And on the 21st of June, everything had been planted or seeded. The garden was immaculate. One day of perfection in an entire year. I'm sort of mentioning that because today the garden is far from perfect. I think you might be shocked when we do get out there. This is probably the worst my garden has ever looked. And part of me thinks, I don't want to show it, I'm a bit embarrassed. But actually I'm going to, because firstly, that's, you know, that's who I am. I'm honest, warts and all. I always have been with you all. I've never tried to hide anything in terms of, you know, crop failures or whatever. I don't hide it. So, and I haven't shown you the garden for ages. So yeah, that's part of my honesty in my showing. But also, one of the reasons is I hope that by sharing the state that my garden is in today, I hope it will give some of you a bit of hope and a bit of faith that, you know, if your garden's in a bit of a state, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not the end of the world anyway, but yeah, it's a disaster. It's not a disaster. Shut up, Vivi. It's a terrible state. But you might think, you seem quite chipper about it, Vivi. You know what? I'm okay, because look, the fact is, this has not been a normal year for me. And, you know, obviously there were big things going on, but there have also been some smaller things going on that you don't know about. There's been a lot going on which has kept me away from the garden. And I think that's primarily why it's in the mess it's in at the moment, is I just haven't given it the number of hours that I would normally have done in the past, or the number of hours that it needs. The reason I'm okay about that, though, is because the garden has produced. You know, I've been harvesting now for the last couple of months. July, August, September. Nearly 3.5 months I've been harvesting. There's still a bit to harvest, as in... I'm just kind of explaining some of this in the shed because it is so windy outside. But yes, there's a bit to harvest still, as in harvest everything and get it home. But of course there will be a few bits and pieces that don't get harvested, they're left in the ground, and I pick a bit here and there as we go through the winter, as and when I need things. So yeah, I'm chipper because this garden has fed me again. Yay! But also because if I was to try to do all this work in 1 week, if I was to try to get back on top of this garden in the space of a week, it would kill me. Okay, it wouldn't kill me. I mean, it would be horrible to try to do it over the course of a week. It would hurt, and it would take up all my time, and there's other things I need to do, blah, blah, blah. But of course, at this stage in the year, I don't even need to think about getting it done in the space of a week. If this was the beginning of May, I'd be panicking. I assure you I'd be panicking. I've got to get things ready. But it's not. We're kind of at the end of the major part of the growing season. So what? So who cares what it looks like right now? I've got the whole winter to put things right. So we're bang in the middle of, well, actually I was going to say we're bang in the middle of October. I can't remember the date. I think it's about the 17th today. We're heading into the end of October. So I've got November, December, January, February, March. I've got 5 and a bit months to put everything right before, at the beginning of April, thinking about opening beds up again and putting seed in. 5 months. Let's say there's 4 weeks in a month. I mean, it's going to be a bit more than that. Let's say it's 20 weeks. And let's say I only came once a week for 5 hours. That's about as much as I can manage. I can turn it around. It's fine. It looks awful today, but I'll get it back. I'll get back on top of it. And of course, through the winter, I'll come once a week anyway for a bit of harvesting. It's mostly beetroots now, but I'll be coming once a week anyway to harvest. So each time I come, I can think, right, I'm going to do that path, I'm going to do that path, I'm going to do whatever it is, get that bed covered, get this bed covered. So yeah, I'm not worried, put it that way. I'm aghast at how, honestly, I hate it looking like this, but that's what happened this year. It's okay. Now, one thing I do want to mention before we go out, because it is blustery, is this new grass weed that I've got in my paths, in my mud paths. I'm not talking about my grass paths either side of my beds, but within each of my big beds, I've got the 4 main beds, and they're divided into 5 little mini permanent beds. Between them, I just have bare soil paths. Obviously, it's been compacted down over the years as I walk up and down, so they're almost like rock hard. In those mud paths, I have this grass that's appeared from nowhere. Someone did ask me, is it because I put grass clippings on my beds as mulch? No, because when it's the grass clippings, and you'll see I've trimmed my edges today. Oh, just to say very quickly, one thing I always do find when the garden is in such a shocking state is mow your paths, trim your edges. Just those 2 simple jobs, it just helps to make all the other jobs a bit clearer. It's almost like literally those defined edges help me to focus my attention into each bed. What does each bed need? Whereas when the grass is long and the edges are all scruffy, it's like it's just one big sea of work. Anyway, so yes, back to the grass, the weeds in the path. It's not from me using grass clippings as mulch, because of course the grass clippings as mulch, it's in the title, grass clippings. They're the cuttings of grass. There's no root to them. So literally the minute I've sheared them, those clippings are dying. No root, can't do anything. So yeah, I don't know where this grass has come from, but it's rapidly taking over all my paths. Now, a few weeks ago, beginning of September, oh yeah, it was beginning of September because it was 33 degrees when I was doing it. Crazy. One of those paths between 2 of the rows of tomatoes, I thought, right, come on, get down on your hands and knees, well, on your bottom, get this stuff out. It's almost like every single blade has its own little tenacious root, and they won't pull, they snap. I had to go in and poke under with my knife to get every single last one out. It appears I didn't get every single last one out, but it took 2.5 hours to do one path. I ain't got time for that. No one's got time for that. There's 4 paths in each bed, so that's 16 paths. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I might have to cardboard the lot. But yeah, it's an issue, and you'll see it when we go out. Right, we're suddenly having another big gust, so I'm going to wait for this big gust to pass. Hopefully it'll settle down a bit, and then we can get outside and see the terrible state my garden is in the middle of October. This gust is, it's really picking up. Just to say also, before we go out, while you can hear me in the shed, I took my tomatoes out 4 days ago. That would have made it about I don't know what the dates are. Anyway, I took the tomatoes out in the middle of October, for goodness sakes. I mean, it's been so warm, scarily warm. And about 2 weeks ago, I got blight. It's crazy, isn't it? So I did eventually get blight. I got it it looks like at the very end of September. I think while I was away in Swanage, it looks like blight struck me then. And of course I wasn't here, so it spread. But you know, I'm not complaining, because I know folk who lost their... Actually, one of my neighbours quite a ways up, he lost his entire tomato crop way back in July. So I count myself really lucky. And that's what I mean about being chipper about the food. They weren't a blight resistance variety at all. But anyway, yeah, so all the tomatoes have come out. You'll see, obviously, you won't see them. You'll see that you can't see them. Oh, okay, let's keep our fingers crossed that the wind settles a little bit and we can... Look, if you can't hear me, I'll point. I'll just point, and hopefully you'll get the idea of why I'm pointing. Come on, let's get out there. Oh dear, it really is annoyingly windy. But you can see, or you can't see, any tomatoes. The tree lily, I don't do anything with it. I just let that die back, and then around about December I'll cut it level with the soil. The stalks. Oh, I could do with deadheading my cosmos. Help it last a bit longer. Right, some big harvests to do. Obviously more flowers to harvest, and at the end that's my big patch for seed saving. And then amongst them, they're still so tiddly, Cavallo Nero. I think what I'll do though is these calendula alongside, these are all the dwarf ones that I didn't like because they're too small and the flowers were really compact and annoying. So I'm thinking, oh, my poncho's flapping. I'll get all of those out and then it'll give the Cavallo a bit more room. Hopefully that'll make the Cavallos a bit happier. So this grass, there we go, all throughout this path. And then, I want to show you the path I did do, but let's go via this happy site. Oh, and they're gorgeous in this afternoon autumn sunshine. I really apologise for the sound if it's horrid and if it's an issue. But look at this light. Wow. So, hold on a second. Coming back. So, actually that one's not too bad. That one's awful. Some of the others behind me are even more awful. And that's the one, let's see where the light is. That's the one I did, back at the beginning of September, that took me 2.5 hours. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Ain't no one got time for that kind of business. Oh, sorry, I forgot to give you a little look at the entire garden. We're going round in circles. Sorry. That's how the garden looks in the middle of autumn, in bright sunshine, chilly air and wind. Okay, so, oh la la. Well, you can see this, the cucumber bed is over, but there's one still in there. Not this one, the other one, that's for seed saving. It looks like we had some frost last night, which has done for the courgette foliage. That's okay. I'm just going to gather up the courgettes, they'll be fine. Let's not sneaky peek at the squash too much. You're not going to get a preview. Oh, the child looks like it wants a drink of water. And this is the beginning. I'll talk about this more in a separate video. Actually, it's quite hard to see in the bright sunshine, isn't it? But this is my the beginnings of my crop and drop and my sort of soil bed care for winter. But yeah, there's a lot of this to do throughout the whole garden, so I'll talk about it, well, hopefully on a day when there's not so much wind. This is some sort of foliage that I've cut, the brassicas which had blown, cut and chopped up and dumped there, but also some of my little bits and bobs of like not perennial, annual weeds that have come up. It looks like horta. Anyone who is into their Greek food. So let me come this way. I'm just mindful some friends and neighbours are around. I need to do this soon because we're due some rain. But I mean, look at that sky. The last of the climbing beans, dry beans. There's a few more to pick on that one, and then quite a lot more I can't see with the sunshine. Quite a lot more to pick in there. Don't cheat and look at the squash bed because we've got to have our guesstimate. And then this was the cocoa bed, and you can see where I've trimmed and trimmed the grass. It's piled up there. It's all going to feed the soil over winter. But look at this flipping grass I mean, there are some weeds in there, but it's mostly this grass. So annoying. So annoying. Tripping on a vine. Oh, klotzy girl. So the tomatoes came out of the behind bed. But I'll show you that in a second. Let's come this way. Yeah, loads of beans to pick. I know, they're quite hard to see in this light. Tons and tons of chard here. Yeah, you can see where the frost just nipped at the nasturtiums, which had been, yesterday, they looked gorgeous. So bright at this time of year. A couple more cavallos. So there's going to be a bit of greens to eat. So what's that? I've got about 8 plants. They're all quite tiddly, but hopefully they'll get producing and there'll be something from them for me. Still a load of beetroot in both beds. Just picking my hoodie up. And then, let me bring you this way because I think it might nearly be time. Oh, look at the lavender looks naked now. It's all been, harvested. But, yeah, look, that's a path. You can't see it for this. This shows it really well. This flaming grass. Look at the size of that chard. So, this is what I was excited to show you. The carrot bed that wasn't. Well, look, that's a carrot. And that's a carrot. And there's 2 carrots. I've never been so excited about just 2 carrots, for goodness sakes. 2, 3, 4, 5 carrots. And I think, did I see? Yeah. This might be is that a carrot in there? Yeah. Oh my goodness, 6 carrots. Absurd. Oh, and this. Do you remember over here in my climbing beans, this is a self-seeded fennel. The bulb, let me show you right down there. The bulb didn't really come to anything, but I left it because it's such a pretty plant. And now it's covered in these gorgeous flowers that are about to burst open. They will then obviously set seed. So I'm going to leave it for the seed, I think. And then I can have a sort of a fennel seed type tea. I mean, it's not tea, you know what I mean. Tisane. A herbal tisane. Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, my plot has never looked so shockingly weedy and bad. But yeah, one of those years. Not much going on here. I've had to trim this rhubarb. Didn't know when to pack it up, but I've had to trim it a bit because it was right over the path and kept tripping me up. But that will start dying back now. Oh my goodness, look at the blueberries. Look at the colours. Gorgeous. Oh, was there ever a picture of autumn? Oh, it's so beautiful. But I want to see it. That red against the blue. Not quite. Oh, and the verbena. This has also been gorgeous this year. Now it's going to seed, but I'll leave the seed because the goldfinches love it. Absolutely love it. My rose cuttings, oh, I've got an idea with those as well. I'll just show you this one too. Oh, happy days. Happy days. Oh, gosh. Ton of work. Actually, look, I think foxes have been rampaging. The foxes have been so naughty this year. I'll tell you about some other foxy naughtiness next time I'm here. Next time I think probably harvesting the squash. Oh, here comes the wind again. Rosy cheeks from a combination of chilly wind but bright sunshine. Okay, look, it was getting far too windy out there. It's so annoying because I would have liked to have spent time, long lingering shots, never mind. But also I've got 2 sets of neighbours have turned up, making the most of this dry, bright afternoon to do their work, and I don't want to get in anyone's way. So, yeah, it's a bit of a state, isn't it? I think the wind has made me giddy. So how on earth am I going to proceed to turn this garden around and get it back on track? How am I going to prioritise things? Right, okay, so here's how I'm going to prioritise. 1, we're due a load of rain in a couple of days. It's going to be rain, wall-to-wall rain for about a fortnight. So I will focus on grabbing dry stuff. Beans, calendula seed, what else is dry? So think about the dry stuff. I will also prioritise harvesting anything which is going to be really frost sensitive. So the squash, in actual fact, for the next fortnight, our nighttime temps aren't going to be below 10 degrees centigrade. So actually, they're fine. I'm going to leave them for now, let them get a bit more sunshine, have a nice little sun bath, if we get any sunshine. But that's how I kind of prioritise what's going to be damaged by the cold. Ostensibly for me this year, that's tomatoes. I've done them. What's going to be damaged by getting too wet? Any of my dry produce. But even that would dry. Anyway, once the harvesting is done, then my attention will turn to the weeds and the mess, etc., etc. So to begin with, I will focus on any weeds that are in the beds. What I was trying to say with the ex-Coco de Pampol bed, as the beds get emptied, I'll give them a quick hoe so that any little annual weeds that have come up, I bring them, hoe them off to kill them. And then whatever matter I can will go on the top. So I'll concentrate on weeding the beds before I concentrate on weeding the paths, because I want to get the beds covered, both with crop and drop and with cardboard. I want to protect my beds from a lashing rain over the winter. The rain compacts the soil horribly here on my London clay, so the cardboard is protection against lashing rain, but also I want to put compost, organic matter, whatever I can on each and every bed as far as possible to help feed the soil. So I'm doing 2 things. I'm both trying to feed the soil over winter and I'm trying to protect it from lashing rain. It's so windy today. So that's going to be the order of events over the next few weeks. Harvesting of all description, weeding and covering beds, cropping and dropping, and then finally, when all of that's taken care of, once all the beds that aren't in use are covered, then I can start to focus on weeding the mud paths and trying to deal with all this grass everywhere. I'd really like to get it all out. I really don't like it. And then there will be other jobs as and when. The path between me and my neighbour, you know, behind my fence, my deck fence, is an absolute mess. Neither of us have touched it this year. Normally I do it every year. It's been neglected, so that's another big job to do. There's all sorts of shed jobs to do, but again, they can come way down the list of priorities. The priority is the harvest, the actual beds and care of the beds, and then everything else can follow. And like I said, I've got 5 months to do that, haven't I? So, yay! Hopefully get it done. All right, lovelies, so next time we're in the garden, all being well, it'll be squash harvest time. I hope you weren't trying to have sneaky little looks and count-ups, because I haven't. I've lost 2 squash already. More of that when we come to the squash harvest. So until then, happy harvesting to all of you. That wind's got up my tail, it made me giddy. Happy harvesting to all of you. Happy autumn clear up. If your garden is in such a state like mine is, don't despair. We've got months and months when we can put it right. In this part of the UK at least, where we shouldn't be, you know, too freezing cold and under 6 feet of snow all winter. We've got time, we've got the winter. And you know what, it's a great incentive as well, isn't it, to get out in the winter, because it's all too easy. I hate being cold. It's all too easy to go, right, well, that's it, I'm never going back to the garden until April or May. I'm going to stay under my duvet and read books. That's what I'd like to do. But yeah, it's a great incentive to, you know, once a week, get out, get that fresh air, get the limbs moving, get the blood circulating. So right, I'm waffling now. I will see you all again really soon. Until then, please look after yourselves. I've got a feeling like this shed's going to be blown away. Yeah, look after yourselves. See you really soon. But until then, cheerio.